right. Well, you guys, welcome back. If you are new here, we are the Habit team. The Habit is a nutrition coaching company made for women by women. Our program is built for you with coaches who put your goals, lifestyle, and personality first. If you want to learn more about us, head to the episode notes or go to thehabit.com. That's habit with a Y to either request more information or book your free discovery call. Welcome back. Today, we are going to go back to the basics. Don't let the word basic fool you, though. This is one of the most important foundations to understand if you're trying to change your body, boost your energy, or just make overall better food choices that actually support your goals. And so today, you have Coach San and Coach Carly on the mic. Hi, Carly. But we were just chatting, and the foundation of our program is macro tracking. And so we want to just kind of go back to the foundation, the basics, and explain, the importance of each macro, why it's the foundation of our program, and why we feel it's one of the most important tools when it comes to starting your weight loss or fat loss journey. So, macros, short for macronutrients. And so we're going to cover what they are, why each of them matters, and how learning to track them can be a total game changer. So let's kick it off. What are macronutrients in general? What are the three main nutrients that we pay attention to?
What are they? Like, I think we could probably do this podcast in our sleep.
Yes.
Protein, carbs, and fats, baby girl. They are the three most important things. Like, if you're macro tracking, like, your protein, your carbs, your fats, and it's probably the first thing you hear of is protein. 100%.
Yeah. So let's break one of them down. I mean, especially over the past couple of years, we've always known protein is so important, but now you see it all over the freaking internet, all over social media, pushing and pushing protein, which I don't hate, because a lot of things do get pushed towards the consumer that aren't so healthy or things that you don't really need to waste your money on. But protein is something that is so essential for your entire life. And so, diving into it, and arguably protein is my favorite macro out of all three. What is the importance behind it, and why do we always hear eat your protein when it comes to weight loss?
Well, when you go into a weight loss phase, your body is going to lose weight from wherever it can. So if you're not eating protein, and I would argue strength training as well, if you're not eating protein, like, any tissue in your body is susceptible to being cut down. So if you're not eating protein, you could be losing muscle too. And a lot of people are after that like toned look. So if you're losing muscle and you're losing body fat, you're not going to get the toned look. You're probably going to just get that like skinny fat look. So protein is that builder. It's made up from amino acids, and those are those building blocks to your protein. And so by consuming a higher amount of protein with your macro tracking, you're telling your body, I need this muscle tissue. I want to keep this muscle tissue. Let's sacrifice the body fat instead of sacrificing that muscle tissue.
And often, a lot of us correlate eating protein with getting stronger and building muscle, but it doesn't always have to correlate to that because some people
No.
simply aren't in a muscle building phase. But protein can also help you heal, recover, and just overall functions. And it helps repair and basically stabilize your hormones. And if you're a woman, hormones freaking control everything. And when they ebb and flow, we feel all of it. And so it's just another way to help regulate it and be, as functional as possible. And why we push protein is out of all three macronutrients, protein probably has the most thermic effect. And what we mean by that is when you are eating protein, your body is actually burning more calories in order to break it down and metabolize it. And so there are several different ways our bodies can burn calories in a given day. And a lot of people don't know the thermic effect of food. You're chewing, you're swallowing, digesting, that burns calories. Now, I'm not saying go eat a shit ton of calories to try to burn more calories, but it is a way that you can boost your metabolism. And once we start getting our clients to eat more and more protein, I actually had a client recently. She was averaging about 100 grams of protein, and she should have been a little bit closer to like 145. So we slowly started to build it up, but she goes, Zan, like, why would I want to increase my calorie intake to lose weight? That makes no sense. And I go, trust me, just please just do it and see what happens. And I'm not joking. As soon as we got her protein up, she lost about 15 pounds in less than 2 months, where prior to that, she was at a complete standstill. Like, that's super eye-opening. She goes, "Holy crap." And I'm like, "I know. Not all calories are created equal, and that is the, positive effect of eating more protein." So it was a really cool win for her, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, and eating more food in general, because so many people are under
Mhm.
eating, and you start eating more and you're like, "Oh, wow, now I'm losing weight." I'm like, yeah,
Yes.
there's a method to our madness.
And who doesn't want to eat more food in order to lose weight, right? I mean, that's, like, the beauty behind it. Um, just because I mentioned that protein is probably my favorite macro, what is your favorite macro out of all 3, Carly?
I am just
I
carbs.
knew
Like,
you were gonna
I could
say
eat
that.
so many carbs all day long. But I have found lately that it is really hard for me to stay at my protein goal. I find myself going over protein, and maybe because I'm breastfeeding and my body just wants more. So like I was eating like 160 grams of protein, but I dropped it down to 140 for like digestion kind of issues,
Mhm.
and I find it so hard not to go over my protein. But yeah, definitely carbs like bread, oh my god. I've been baking sourdough, and it's so hard not to eat all like a whole loaf of fresh bread.
Girl, we know when we were all on our retreats and the wait, just so everyone knows, we're out to dinner. Mind you,
I forgot
Carly
about
is
that.
still pregnant, so you don't mess with her food, okay? But we were out to dinner. We had this yummy bread and we just had a ton of it. And so Carly was like, "Wait, no, I want to take that home with us." And it was like in a like brown bag almost. And so the waitress comes by to clean up our table and she goes to reach for the brown bag, and I've never seen Carly react so quickly. She snagged that bag back and was like, "Do not touch my bread." It was hilarious. But I mean, I knew you were going to say carbs just for that exact reason.
Yeah. Dude, save the bread. Don't touch my
No.
carbs. Don't touch my bread especially.
Now, before we go into carbs, just a quick little couple of things to note or about protein. Um, when Carly was talking about, she was eating around 160, dropped it down to 140. So, yeah, if you jump up too quickly in protein, you can have digestive issues. So, it's better to kind of ease into it and slowly increase that number. But just so you have a ballpark idea, it is recommended to be eating zero point 0.8 to 1 gram per body weight. And so you kind of just have to feel that out and what's best for you because, like, kind of like you, Carly, I actually eat over my body weight in protein.
Yeah.
It's just my body thrives off of it. I can feel when I'm not eating enough. And so I eat probably 20 to 25 grams over my body weight, but that works for me and my specific body. And it could obviously be a genetic thing as well, which is not something we're going to even dive into on this podcast, but it really is very individualized. But the other thing that we wanted to also point out was that protein is 4 calories per gram. And so when it comes down to, and we'll explain this a little bit later in terms of macro math and why you want to pay attention to macros versus calories, that is going to be important information to know. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but wanted to wrap up protein before we dove into carbs, which is obviously Carly's favorite. So I'm going to let you take it from here and explain why are carbs not the frickin' enemy? Because diet culture has ingrained in women low carb this, low carb that. I can't eat bread. And someone who loves bread, let's speak on it.
Well, I think there's just so much confusion around calories in versus calories out and like weight gain, like what causes people to gain weight, and people have just tried to identify like an easy fix of like, oh well, carbs are making me gain weight or fat is making me gain weight, so you should do low carb or low fat. But really, like, carbs are not the enemy. It's like an overconsumption of calories and a sedentary lifestyle. So carbs aren't the enemy. That's your fuel source, not only for your body, for your muscles, it's also your fuel source for your brain. Your brain runs on glucose. Your muscles run on glycogen. So glycogen is stored in your muscles. You get that from eating carbohydrates. If you're feeling drained in a workout, you don't have that energy for your workout, you're probably under eating on your carbohydrates. Like 9 times out of 10. So carbs are your preferred energy source. Your whole body relies on that. Very important. Like, not the enemy.
And, when you cut out carbs, you're cutting out a lot of nutrients that you're probably unaware of and micronutrients at that. And so, yes, there's a difference between eating a sweet potato versus eating a donut. And anyone who knows, the donuts are my favorite. And there's a time and a place for that. I'm not saying you can't, but of course, there is a difference. And so, if you look at carbs more in terms of what they contain and the healthier, more complex carbs, you may not be as scared because there are so many different, carbs on the spectrum, so to speak. And so
Yeah.
basically, the difference between a sweet potato and a donut, if you eat a sweet potato, you're most likely going to be getting more fiber, vitamins, minerals, and much more long lasting energy because of that fiber. The carbs that contain a ton of fiber, your body is going to break it down a lot slower compared to more of a simple carb like a donut. But, with donuts, I mean, I eat that pre and post workout and my body utilizes it as fuel. And so, again, there is time and a place, and it all comes down to nutrient timing, which is something, if you do have a one on one coach, we would really dive in with you to help you understand how to kind of pair it, with your other foods throughout the day. And you eventually learn, like Carly said, carbs are not the freaking enemy. And when you actually start eating them and you feel energy and you realize, wait, I'm not gaining all of this weight, you finally have that aha moment. And then you're just overall happier because carbs make you happy.
Yeah, and it's not even just like the macronutrient of carbohydrate that's giving you energy. It's like what Zan said, your fiber, your vitamins, your minerals, like those are giving you that longer lasting energy. Your food is taking maybe a little bit longer to digest with all that fiber. You're giving yourself the energy source for whatever you're doing. Doesn't have to even be for workouts, literally for day-to-day life. Like you need carbohydrates to function, to do anything. Like that's what your body needs. So once you like if you're eating low calorie or low carbohydrate for a long period of time, you're not just starving yourself of the macronutrient of carbohydrates, you're starving yourself of vitamins, of minerals, of that energy source, of fiber, and you're going to feel that in your body.
Mhm. And let's get real, when you do a low carb diet, I'm telling you, majority of that weight you're losing is all water retention. And then what happens when you reintroduce carbs into your body? Yeah, you're going to gain that weight back probably within the week. And so, low carb diet is not something that's going to help you lose fat. It's just going to help the scale ebb and flow due to water retention. And ultimately, like Carly said, if you do this long term, you are completely wrecking your thyroid and hormone function. And I promise you, someone coming from thyroid issues, you do not want to create that mess for yourself. Your thyroid controls your metabolism. And if it's sluggish and broken, you are going to have a very, very, very difficult time losing weight and reaching your goals. So don't avoid carbs because they are basically our body's first source of energy and what we love to eat every single day. So, besides bread, Carly, what is another carb you eat like literally daily? Because I feel like often people are like, carbs are bread, bread. I don't want to eat bread. But there's so many other carb sources out there. So, what is another one of your favorites?
I mean, I'm like going through my meals that I kind of repeat every single day. Number one,
Hmm.
like I feel like I always have some dried mango, like pre-workout, post-workout. It is literally like candy. But I also eat like this is a lot of people don't like these, but like the mixed vegetables, it's like peas and corn and green beans and carrots. It's like the cheapest mixed vegetable, but like I eat those all the time. Like, so those like for me are like where I get a lot of my fiber, adds a little bit of carbs to my meals. So I eat rice, I eat mixed vegetables, I eat a lot of fruit, especially now, like the stone fruit, like peaches and plums and nectarines. Um, Lots of sweet potatoes. I love sweet potatoes to add that different flavor to things. I eat a lot of bagels, honestly.
My bagel queen.
Yes.
But that's what I was kind of hoping with that question. She mentioned veggies and fruits. And that is where, a lot of people don't understand that those are actually your main carb sources. And so when you think of carbs in that term, rather than just automatically thinking breads and things like that, you understand, wait, okay, carbs are not as scary as I think. And I'm actually probably eating more carbs than I thought if you are eating a ton of veggies and fruits every day.
And I think that's
So,
where people get scared is they think of carbs
mhm.
as donuts. They think of carbs
Yep.
as those less healthy sources, the things that you should eat kind of sparingly. They think of donuts and pizza and things like that, but those are the items that are going to be really high in calories and they're going to be really high in carbohydrates. So you're eating a lot more than you think you are. And that's why people are like, carbs are the enemy. We need to cut carbs. When in reality, it's like, you don't need to cut carbs. You just need to find the right time and place for your donuts, for your pizza.
Mhm. Exactly, exactly. Now, for the last one, and arguably the tastiest of them all, your last macronutrient is fats. And this is probably the most important when it comes to your hormone health and function. So, obviously, fats have been very misunderstood for decades alongside carbs. You hear low fat diets, low carb diets, fat free this, fat free that. But fat is so essential for your brain health, hormone production, cell structure, nutrient absorption, all the things. Vitamins A, D, E, and K, they all need fats in order to be absorbed properly. But when it comes to digesting your fats and when it comes to weight loss and fat loss and all of those things, how can fats help you, stay on track and stay satiated while you're in a caloric deficit?
Well, fats in general are just more satisfying. They take a little bit longer to digest. When you think about the caloric breakdown from carbs and protein and fat, your fat, 1 gram actually has 9 calories to it. And so it is going to take a little bit longer to digest, and that's going to help you stay fuller for longer. So if you're on a low fat diet and you're starting to feel like, wow, I'm really hungry, like I'm craving fats, like your body, you're not satiated. You're getting hungry between meals. You need to up those fats.
Hmm. What's wild is I actually notice. And it's obviously not intentional, but if I go like maybe a week where maybe some of the foods and meals that I created for myself aren't as high in fats, by the end of the week, am craving fish like no other. Like I want to go and get a poke bowl
Oh,
and I just want like fresh salmon. And whenever I start getting those cravings, I'm like, wait, okay, that's probably my body's not getting enough fats. And so that's another thing. Your body is going to tell you and will always signal to you what it's lacking and what it needs. It's a matter of learning how to tune into that and realize why you're experiencing some of these symptoms. And that's my number one. Whenever I know I'm lacking fats, I'm like, all right, this whole next week, my meal prep is going to include fish because it's just what my body needs. And then, of course, I mean, this is a whole other topic, but whatever phase of your menstrual cycle you're in, it's also very dependent. There are certain phases where you do need more fat intake. And I've noticed that those are the weeks that I tend to crave fish a little bit more. But where I'm going with this is that fats are not the enemy as well. And fats don't make you fat. Yes, it's easy for you to go overboard just because they're a little bit more calorically dense than carbs and proteins. And unfortunately, they can add up very quickly. But as long as you have a sufficient amount of fats in your diet, you're going to be able to regulate your hormones and you just are going to be functioning, at your top capability, essentially. Out of all the fats in the world, Carly, what are your favorite? Or what's your favorite?
hmm. I
I know
think,
that's
God,
hard.
it is hard. I guess I would go with the one that I eat the most is almond butter. I'm a sucker
Nailed
almond
it.
butter with like my overnight oats. I put almond butter on my yogurt. There's something about it, I don't know, super sweet, but then also I eat a lot of butter too. Like I cook all of my like eggs in butter. Eggs also really good source of fat. And then butter on my bread
Mm-hmm.
because I eat bread all day long. So butter and almond butter, my two favorite, I think. And some good old
Mm-hmm.
roasted cashews. So good.
So good. I know I love pistachios. It's probably my favorite. Well, alongside almonds, but I was gonna say nut butters. Nut butters in general, I'm just obsessed with. But that's another misconception, right? Kind of like when we were talking about carbs. People automatically think bread, bread, but they neglect like fruits and veggies. And fats, they think of butter, which butter isn't bad, but we correlate to those things when fats can be nut butters, avocado, salad dressings, olive oil. I mean, there are healthy, obviously, fats. So I would say nut butters, absolutely. And then probably avocados. I love freaking avocados. I eat like Caesar salads multiple times a week because I'm obsessed with it, but I add in avocado and it just makes it extra creamy. And simply put, fats are flavor. And so that is why we crave them in our meals and our food and why, recipes contain them in general. So don't be afraid of fats either. Mhm. So now that we kind of covered the basics in terms of what are macronutrients, the importance of each, why do we as a company, as a team, love to have macros be the foundation for our clients and why is it such an important tool and why we, push it onto our clients?
I feel like it just makes you aware of what kind of foods you're putting in your body. You can see the breakdown of, okay, I am craving more fats. It helps you have a little bit more awareness with the things that you're putting into your body. And with tracking macros, it gives you this tool like to see how much you're eating, and it doesn't have to be for forever. It kind of teaches you about portion sizes and how much you should be eating of the different things, not just focusing on calories. Because if we're focusing on calories, whatever goes, like donuts and pizza all day long, but that's not going to give you the most bang for your buck with like helping you feel satiated and like long-term results. Like if you're after weight loss, those long-term results, like if you're tracking macros, it's going to come from that.
Mhm. And I often, it can be a concept that we tend to overcomplicate it when it doesn't need to be. I like to explain macro tracking is one step above calorie tracking. You are now paying attention to the nutrients that you're putting into your body. No matter what, in order to lose weight and or fat, you have to be in a caloric deficit. But like Carly was saying, not all calories are created equal. So you may lose that initial weight. It's most likely water retention when you get into a caloric deficit. But if you want to change your body composition, meaning actually get leaner, build muscle, have more of that toned look that you're seeking, macro tracking is essential to that so that you are basically the calories you're intaking are broken down appropriately into the right carbs, fats, and proteins for your body. And it is just a game changer. I mean, we've had so many women come from, let's say, WW or other past diets where they lost that initial weight, but then they've been in a plateau forever. And they're like, okay, well, how the heck is macros really going to change anything? But if you switch up the breakdown, boom, your body just begins thriving and you actually see your measurements go down, not just the scale. And that is super, super empowering and really, shows women and teaches them that you don't have to be scared of certain foods, right? As long as you fit it into your macros and you finish that puzzle at the end of the day, you are going to find success. And so like Carly said, it's not something you have to do forever. It's something that we like to call it's a tool, and you can always go back to. So, like for instance, for us coaches, I know that we don't track all day, every day. I mean, we're well versed in this area. But if I feel like I just need a little bit of accountability and I've like kind of fallen off and I just need to kind of get back on it, I'll maybe track for a couple of weeks, make sure that I am hitting around the numbers that I want to. And then I can kind of go back to basically intuitive eating. And yeah, it'll take a while to get there, but we like to emphasize that it's just the foundation for the rest of your life. And then it becomes a tool you can always revert back to in order to, basically just, support you and your current goals because your goals are always changing as well. And that's the beauty of macros. You can adapt them to what you're
And
trying
that's
to
why it gives you
achieve.
such long-term success because so many people are looking for that diet or that deficit portion, but they're not really thinking about afterwards because typically people will diet and then they just go back to how they were eating before that and then they gain the weight back and then it just makes it so much harder to maintain any sort of progress that you've made. And so with macros, like it goes with every phase of your life. So like if you're okay, well, I'm done losing weight, but I want to maintain this, like okay, here's different macros for that. Like you're increasing your food back. So it fits with every different phase of your life. And that's one of my favorite parts of coaching is when I get a client to go into maintenance and then they have the realization of like, oh my God, I can eat more and maintain my progress. And then second favorite is when they realize like they don't have to track all the time and they can still maintain, like they can go on that vacation and not have to worry about tracking, but they have the tools from this of paying attention to portion sizes because they're so used to tracking and seeing those portion sizes. When they're weighing them, you go on vacation, you stop tracking for a couple weeks, whatever it is, like you're able to eyeball portions and still focus on my water, my steps, my protein, and you're able to maintain that progress for long term. So it's not all about tracking every single day for the rest of your life. Like these are tools that are going to help you in that phase and out of the phase as well.
Mhm. I like that you said it's, very suitable for any life stage that you're in because coming from you, right? You were pregnant and now you're postpartum. And so your macros changed throughout that journey, right? And a lot of people think, you know, macros are for dieting and it's not. It doesn't have to be that way. We actually work with pregnant women all the time because they just want a healthier pregnancy. Maybe they gained too much weight during their first pregnancy and they want to make sure that doesn't happen again. And they want to make sure they're giving even their baby the proper nutrients and enough calories basically to thrive. And so they can always adapt. And I don't know if you did. Did you track while you were pregnant? And then have you been tracking
Off
postpartum
and
now
on when I
too?
was pregnant, just because like appetite was all over the
Hmm.
place and like morning sickness this time. So I
Totally.
tracked a little bit less when I was pregnant. But really both when I was pregnant and nursing, my tracking is more so to make sure I'm eating enough, to make sure, like you said, like giving me fuel, but also baby fuel. Right now, like it is a full-time job to eat as much as I need to like maintain my milk supply. I'm not complaining. I love it. I love eating all day. But yeah, so tracking is mainly just to make sure getting enough calories. And that's like the same thing with my postpartum and pregnant clients that I've had previously. Um, they're typically under eating. And then like a lot of times you'll have more morning sickness, you'll have less energy, things like that. So it is important in like every stage of life, but especially like breastfeeding, postpartum, pregnancy, like it's really just to kind of get your calories up where they should be.
Hmm. Absolutely. Well, unless, is there anything else you want to add, or do we want to kind of touch on final thoughts and wrap this one up?
I don't think there was anything else I wanted to add. We covered a lot.
I know we did. We did. It was a whole macro 101, which is going to be hopefully super useful for anyone who is scared or hesitant to start with macros. We promise it's not as scary as you think. And a lot of education comes with it. And for me, or knowledge is power. And it really helps motivate you to, actually sit down, buckle down, and reach your goals. But like Carly said, you don't have to track forever. Even just a few weeks of tracking can teach you more about nutrition than any, thing that you see on social media or on the internet. And it's not about obsessing with hitting every single number. It's just about understanding what your body needs. When you know how much protein, carbs, and fat your body does need, you start eating with purpose. And when you eat with purpose, your results get a lot easier to achieve and maintain. And you get out of, that frustration that you've probably been experiencing when you're just calorie counting. So, on top of that, anything else that you want to kind of end with, Carly, that you feel our listeners need to hear? Wrap it up with a little
Um,
bow.
like Zan said, it's not as complicated as you might think it is. Like we really just have to go back to the basics of fuel yourself with some whole foods, some protein, meat, nuts and seeds, vegetables, fruit. It's really not that complicated. And once you kind of crowd out the rest of the things, like you'll realize your body feels so much better.
Mhm. And if it still feels like something that's super daunting or intimidating, that is what we're here for. So, having a one on one coach to kind of ease you into this and create that foundation for you can be super, super helpful. And I know that all of our clients have really, really appreciated the support and the accountability every step of the way. So, if you're looking for a coach, we're your gals. But until next time, thank you for joining, and we hope you learned all the things macro related. And yeah, that's all
All
I
right.
got for
Well,
you.
we'll see you next time.